Chris, did you ever play past the junior varsity level of basketball?
Well, I got asked to leave the varsity team. So, yes, I did play varsity basketball, but I got asked to leave.
And why did you get asked to leave?
Creative differences with the coach.
And what kind of creative differences?
He thought that I was probably a little bit better at football, and they were like, we don't want to risk you getting hurt and taking your time, so we need to get you out to run track and play football. So they said it's probably the best thing for you.
DC ain't even make JVT. I love it.
I 100% did, and I was asked to leave. And, there's a lot of people out there that know why and that can stay. It's not something we need to dig up.
It was fighting was involved, if I'm not mistaken, correct? You beat somebody. Basically, you bullied somebody.
I was a lover, not a fighter, and I have the daughter to prove it, so.
Welcome to Big B Daily. No frauds allowed.
So welcome back. What is up? What is up? What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Big B Daily. We appreciate everybody being here, man. We are live. Thank you, guys. Again, as a reminder, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time, Big B Daily is live, man. Got a good Wednesday for you guys today. Lot going on still, as always. Look, the Knicks gave one away last night. They should have won that basketball game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They should have won the basketball game. Instead, Tyrese Maxey gets loose and breaks their hearts. Lord have mercy. And it's going to game 6 back in Philly. Then is there a changing of the guard? LeBron, Steph, KD, nobody in the second, or neither one of them are in the second round of the playoffs. Is this a changing of the guard, or are they just on bad teams? We're going to dive into that. And then lastly, Shedeur Sanders, I think I'm out on him. I think I'm out on Shedeur Sanders, bashing teammates as they go out the door. This entitlement that this young generation has is literally getting on my last nerve. It's on my last nerve. Follow along. We're going to cover all that today and more. We appreciate everybody being here. Again, we are live Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time. Thank you guys for being here. As a quick reminder, first things first, if you like what we're doing and you appreciate the show and you want to support the show, remember, stay active in the chat and also click the link in the bio. There are several different ways that you can always support the show. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for any way that you choose. More importantly, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff, man. So we appreciate any way that you guys want to help support the show. It helps us. Number one, it helps us with the algorithm, and it helps us get to more people, helps us keep putting out all this good stuff out there. So we appreciate you guys for doing that. On a certain platform, it keeps freezing up on me. Apparently, they're mad at me. I don't know. But either way, on that platform, all you have to do is give me a follow, click the link in the bio, and then there's a live link to the show. You'll never get frozen up on that other platform. That much I know for an absolute fact. So if you want to come over and move over, please do so. We appreciate it. Let's get into this. So last night, Tyrese Maxey. Well, first of all, let's start off with the Knicks. The Knicks, that was an absolute choke job. That was a choke job. You are up with 28 seconds to go. You're up 6 points, and you give that game away. First of all, why are you fouling on a three-pointer? What Mitchell Robinson, what the hell are you doing? You can contest without fouling. Jiminy Christmas. If he's going to make the shot, he's going to make the shot. The last thing you want to do is foul a guy and contest that much, and it was a foul. Why are you doing that? Oh, my goodness. 4-point play, Tyrese Maxey, who just went nuclear at the end of that game. He was cooking them all night, but at the end, he just goes nuclear. You foul him, 4-point play. They have to foul you. They do. And then Josh Hart that was one of the biggest alligator arm free throws that I think I've seen in a while. That thing barely hit the front iron. I mean, he's out there, just shooting the ball like this. Just, oh my God. I mean, butthole, super tight, absolutely ridiculous. Lord have mercy. Makes the second one after it bounced around the rim like 6 times. And then come down. You don't get the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hands. You don't trap him. You don't hedge the screen. You don't do anything. You back up, and he pulls up from the logo, and he knocks one down right in your face. And boom. Next thing you know, it's a tie game. Brunson gets a shot blocked at the other end. We're going to overtime. But even then, in overtime, you're up 5 with 3 minutes to go. Get the game to the finish line, man. What are you doing? Get the game to the finish line. Nope. Not going to do it. Just not going to do it. And because Brunson, look, we love Brunson. He had 40. He had a great game, but he had 3 costly turnovers down the stretch that cost the Knicks. Let's just call it what it is. And Embiid got it going in overtime a little bit. Next thing you know, Philly's up. And they don't. It's in the series has been that Philly has crumbled down the stretch, and they tried to do that yesterday. They tried to crumble in regulation. They tried to crumble, but the Knicks wouldn't let them. The Knicks wouldn't let them. Now, Maxey had a lot to do with that too. But that's how they got the 6-point lead, is because Philly crumbled down the stretch. So, but it was just wild, man. It was just wild. I got to send a shout out to my man, X Capone here. He's coming over from another platform. What's going on, my man? Welcome. We appreciate you being here. It's better over here. That's all I'll say. It is better over here. I appreciate you coming over, my man. I appreciate you coming over. Thank you. Just like a lot of you have come over from that platform. So, either way, the Knicks blew it. Tyrese Maxey goes absolutely nuclear. It was incredible. So, it was incredible. My man Austin says, why do teams refuse to foul when up 3? They just beg Maxey to tie it up. I just don't understand, Austin. I know that Thibodeau is a defensive wizard, but how much of a defensive wizard can you be when you're up 3 and you don't foul? They got the high screen and roll, and I get that the screen came damn near the foul or at the timeline. I get it. It was at half court. I don't care. Hedge the screen and foul him. Put him on the line. Period. End of story. Put him on the line. Well, there was too much time left. Was there too much time for him to knock down a 3 and tie the game? No, there wasn't. There wasn't. You can foul him. And you didn't, and you paid the price. You're absolutely right, Austin. Stop being stupid. Foul. Foul. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. That's what you get. That's what happens when you try to outthink yourself. You outthought yourself into a loss. Foul the guy. So, it's pretty much that simple. You don't, he makes the shot, and then what? Boom. And then you can't get it together. In overtime, you can't keep it together. You got it together. You couldn't keep it together. Brunson made some costly turnovers down the stretch. Costly. And Philly didn't. And that was the difference. Philly didn't. So, it's weird. It's definitely weird. I mean, but it cost them a game. It cost them a game. Yeah, and you're right, Ben. You are right. Tibbs had questionable moves last night with bench rotations and no TO at the end of regulation. At the end of regulation, I'm not so much worried about that because they got something. I think you could have called a timeout and gotten something closer, so you're not dribbling up the court, but they got a shot going to the basket. It is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. I don't know. Tibbs doesn't like playing, or he loves to play his starters a lot. I think Brunson played like 51 minutes. Josh Hart played like 53 minutes. They were trying to end the series, but you didn't. You didn't. Ugly basketball at the end for the Knicks. But give Philly credit. Give Philly credit. I don't want to talk too much about what the Knicks did. Give Philly credit. Give Tyrese Maxey credit. You still got to make the shots. And he made the shots. So he made the shots. And that's the difference. And you're right. Going back to Philly, I fully expect Philadelphia to win Game 6. I fully expect for Philadelphia to win Game 6. I don't expect anything different. I really don't. I expect them to win Game 6. So that's just my personal opinion. I think that Philly fans are going to show up. They're not going to let all these Knicks fans buy all these tickets. I think Philly fans, if they can help themselves, but I think Philly fans are going to show up to this game. At least I hope so. Because I'll be honest, it was a disgrace. Embiid was right. All those it was a 65-35 crowd advantage for the Knicks in Philadelphia. If I'm a Philly fan, I'm embarrassed by that. But maybe they're saying, hey, man, you guys haven't shown us anything. But even still, since when does New York fans come into Philly and just take over the arena like that? And if I'm a Philly fan, you should be embarrassed. Don't let it happen in Game 6. Don't let that happen in 6. Just don't. Go and show up. But I fully expect the 76ers to win Game 6, and then anything can happen in Game 7, just like we know. Anything can happen in a Game 7. So the Knicks would be wise to end it in Game 6. I just don't see them doing it. I just don't see them. I don't see the Knicks winning Game 6. I think their spirit's going to be down after letting this one get away. And then they're going on the road. I think Philly, they're like, you know what? We got away with one. We're still alive. And as long as we're still alive, we got a shot. That's the way I look at this. As long as they're still alive, they got a shot. So I feel like that Philly, first of all, Embiid, is Embiid even 40% right now? Looking at it, is he even 40% out there playing? Because I don't think he is. He can't do anything defensively. He can't go get a bunch of rebounds. He can't do that. He can't play inside. He can't drive to the basket. Everything is so tentative and soft. He's not even at 40% right now. So, I don't know. It doesn't look good. But they got the momentum. Maxey's playing out of his mind. And if they get an Embiid Game 3, like if Embiid plays like he did in Game 3 where he had a 50 ball, look out. I'm just telling you, look out, man. Yeah, Mike, it was a momentum changer. It was a momentum changer. Can you all imagine if the Knicks lose this series? Just think about that. If the Knicks lose this series, unbelievable. Playing great. A number 2 seed coming into the playoffs. Up 3-1 at home. Up 6 with 28 seconds to go to close out the series. And if they end up losing this series, Lord have mercy. Woo! Unbelievable. Now, look, I know Tyrese Maxey, he wins the most improved player. I know a lot of people didn't like that, but he won the most improved player of the year this year. I think it was well garnered. What did he up his scoring average? Like 6 points? Who does that? And he was already a starter. It wasn't like he wasn't a starter before. He upped at 6 points. He upped his assist average. And I know what people are going to say. James Harden's not there anymore. But doesn't Philly before Embiid got hurt, didn't Philly look better than they did the previous year with Harden? Because I think they did. That Philly looked better without Harden. Because, number one, they had more defensive guys on the court. So they had more defensive guys on the court. Harden, as we all know, can't guard any of us. Harden can't guard anybody in the chat right now. He can't guard any of us. So, yeah, that's what I said, Ty. I think the 76ers are going to win at home in Game 6, and I think it comes down to Game 7, where anything can happen. But, yeah, if the Knicks lose this series, man, first of all, my man Miller Time says Stephen A is going to be devastated. He will. Knick fans, there's a fan that comes in here. He's my boy, my man Houston Davis. New York everything. I'm sure y'all have seen him over on a certain platform. Y'all have seen him. He comes in. We love him. He's New York everything. For that reason alone, I am rooting for Philly. Now, I picked Philly to win the series in 6 before it started. Well, obviously that's not going to happen. But I want the Knicks to lose just for Houston because he'll be a ghost. You won't see him for weeks. He'll go into hibernation like a bear. You won't see that man for weeks. We'll have to pull him out. We'll have to pat him on the back of the, hey, man, it's okay, bro. You know, it just wasn't meant to be. We'll have to get him out because he'll go into depression. It's already bad enough that his Giants stink. You know, but the Knicks doing this, pulling this, oh, man. Sure. But, yeah, the Knicks blew that game, man. He blew that game. Yeah, you're right. He won't come back until Major League playoff. He won't. He won't be back. And he's a diehard Yankees fan. Let the Yankees blow one again in the playoff. Let that happen. Or miss the playoffs altogether. Lord have mercy. But we love him, though. He's our dude. He is a goon squad member. Just like the rest of you guys, he is a goon squad member, man. So, but Mo Talk Sports, what's going on, man? A healthy Embiid, the Knicks are gone in 6. Yes. Yes. Even if they had Randall. Yes. I kept saying it. And I said that. That's why I said at the beginning of the series, if Embiid is healthy, then they beat the Knicks in 6 games. I didn't even think it was ifs, ands, or buts about it. If Embiid is healthy, then you don't have to worry about it. In 6 games, it's over. Well, Embiid's not healthy. And I think we all can see that Embiid is not healthy. So this is what we get. But that's okay. That's okay. So let's move on. So I talked about a little bit about this yesterday, and I said we were going to get into this today. Changing of the guard in the NBA. LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, none of them are in the second round of the NBA playoffs this year. All out. Is it a changing of the guard? That's kind of been the narrative. It's a changing of the guard. The young guys, they're there. They're stepping up. They're taking over the league. And they are putting their best foot forward. No more super teams. Not that the Lakers or I don't know, Golden State, neither one of them are super teams. But those guys are getting older. And there's fresh meat. New guys are starting to take over the league and become superstars. I said it yesterday. Anthony Edwards, is that the next guy? Because I think Anthony Edwards could very well be the next guy. We'll see what happens in this series. I think this series coming up is going to let us know whether Anthony Edwards is ready to take that mantle of being that next dude, of putting himself on the superstar platform. This series against the Nuggets is going to let us know if Anthony Edwards is ready to be a superstar. I personally think that he is, but he's got to go do it. He's got to go do it. I think his time is now. Having said that, do we think that it's over for LeBron, KD, and Steph? Here's my personal opinion. I don't think so. I just think their teams aren't any good. Aren't as good. I shouldn't say aren't any good. They're not as good as the other teams. I mean, who's as good as Minnesota? Who's as good as OKC or Denver? None of those teams are as good as them. I mean, you knew that Phoenix was going to struggle without a point guard. And guess what? Phoenix struggled without a point guard. Now, you didn't know that that Bradley Beal wasn't going to respond to being the third option, but Bradley Beal clearly didn't respond to being the third option. Number one, he was hurt all year. But even then, he didn't respond to that role. He wasn't good in that role. So what do? Kevin Durant played about as good and efficient. I mean, he averaged 27 a game, shooting 52% from the field. What else do you want from the guy?
Or what?
I mean, like, seriously, what do you want from the guy? That's all he can do. 52% and shooting that kind of percentage. I'm not sure what else that we're looking for. By the way, just as a quick reminder, we came back up on a different platform. If you are on that platform and it froze up on you with all the buffering, do yourself a favor. Click on the link in the bio and come on over. There's a live link. Click on that link and you'll come on over and you won't have to worry about any buffering or anybody causing any issues, man. They win. Apparently, they're trying to put the squeeze to me, so they win. I'm not going to fight it. It is what it is. Don't know what has happened other than I questioned one thing that I thought was BS, and it was BS, but now they're putting the screws to me. It is what it is. We're not worried about it. We're not going to stop. We're going to continue to grow because you guys keep supporting me on this other platform. So do yourself a favor. Click on the live link, the link inside, and come on over. Yeah, there you go, my man Mitchell. There you go, my man. I appreciate you coming over. Thank you. So thank you. Either way, let's look at it this way. My man Austin has a different take on the KD. So it's over for the three in the sense that they're no longer able to carry a team like LeBron did so much. I don't know if that's necessarily true, Austin. Here's what I will say. I'm a LeBron fan, but I'm a fan of basketball. I'm not just a LeBron fan. I'm a LeBron fan. I'm a Jokic fan. I'm a fan of basketball players. I didn't grow up with an NBA team that I like. So I like Jordan. I like Kobe. I like LeBron. I like all basketball players because I like basketball. So I don't have an allegiance to a team. I like Steph. I like Kevin Durant. Now, I like some better than others. I think some people are better than others. But I like basketball. Well, here's what I will say. LeBron played in the Eastern Conference, and even the team that when Kyrie left, that team that he took to the finals that had no business being in the finals. I mean, there's two teams that LeBron had in Cleveland that had no business being in the finals. 2017, no business being in the finals. And 2007, no business being in the finals. So in that sense, you just might be right, Austin. You might be right. But I think that the conference itself wasn't as good, so they were able to do that. Those teams today, those Cleveland teams, LeBron can't take them to the finals like that. He wouldn't be able to do that in either side. He wouldn't be able to do it. His team isn't as good. The teams that they would be facing are better in the Eastern Conference and in the Western Conference. So you may be right. The difference with Golden State, look, those teams with Kevin Durant were some of the best teams in NBA history. Whether people want to say that or not, they were. And the team when he got hurt and didn't play until Game 5 of the NBA Finals and then blew out his Achilles. If he doesn't blow out his Achilles and Klay Thompson doesn't get hurt, they destroy Toronto. And everybody knows that. They would have three-peated. Heck, even after Durant got hurt, if Klay Thompson doesn't blow out his knee, they beat Toronto. So you may be right that they can't single-handedly carry a team. So I think you might be right when you say that, Austin. I just think their teams aren't as good as the other teams. That's just what I think. I don't think Phoenix is that good. I know Golden State isn't that good. I think the Lakers are pretty good. They just ran into a team that was better than them. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. They led in the series for 165 minutes compared to Denver leading for 59 minutes. But at the end of the game, the execution from Denver was flawless. The Lakers was not, and you get beat. So what happens? That's what happens. So for me personally, I just don't think their teams are as good. Because you can't look at their individual numbers and say, oh, man, they're just not any good anymore. Like, you look at LeBron and you look at, like, Kevin Durant, 27 a game, shooting 52%. That doesn't show the signs of a guy slowing down. It just doesn't. So, yeah, I don't think you say, oh, man, if he was averaging 15 points a game, you could say that. But a guy averaging 27 points a game, shooting over 52%, you can't say that he's slowing down. LeBron averaging 26, 7, and 7, that's not a guy slowing down. Steph averaging over 30 points a game, that's not a guy slowing down. Now, their teams aren't as good, or especially with Golden State, Klay Thompson is slowing down. You can say that about him, but you can't. Those three stars, you can't say they're slowing down because that's not true. Their teams just aren't as good. That's all. That's all. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think people wanted to jump on the narrative, and I know what media does. It's their job. And it is a good question. Is it changing of the guard? I don't think it is a changing of the guard. I just think their teams aren't as good. They're just not. The way that they were put together, the Lakers, I think, are of those three teams, the Lakers are the best team, but the Lakers aren't built to be able to beat Denver. Like, the Lakers need a 5. Why they went away from having a center on their team, somebody that could battle Jokic, I'll never know. But that's what they needed. They need a guy, because Anthony Davis can't guard him. Anthony Davis is great defensively, but he can't guard Jokic. He's not big enough. And he doesn't want to play that physical. So, that's the thing. He's not big enough to guard Jokic. They needed a center. Now, people are going to laugh when I say this, but you're going to tell me that Dwight Howard, if you need Dwight Howard to give you 19 to 22 minutes a night, that Dwight Howard couldn't do that? Sure, he could. Forget all the personal stuff. Forget that. I'm just talking basketball. And I'm not saying Dwight Howard is some great player at this point in his career, but you can't tell me. First of all, Dwight Howard should be in the NBA. Let's just put that out there. Dwight Howard should still be in the NBA. You can't tell me that Dwight Howard can't go out there and give you 18 to 22 minutes a night and still get you 8 to 9 rebounds, which he could, and still play good defense, which he could. Again, put all the personal stuff aside. When there's another time and place to talk Dwight Howard and make jokes about him if that's what you choose to do. But if we're just talking basketball, which that's what we're doing here today, Dwight Howard needs to be in the NBA. And he could have helped the Lakers. He absolutely could have. He absolutely could have. If he was serious about playing basketball, and they needed that. Phoenix needed a point guard. Period. End of story. They needed a guy to be able to facilitate for them. And they didn't. They thought Devin Booker could do it, and that would be enough. And Devin Booker, as good as he is, and as well as he played, he's not a facilitator. That's not his job. That's not his job. You need Devin Booker to score the basketball at will. You don't need Devin Booker trying to decide when it's time for him to go and when it's time for him to get somebody else involved. That's not what Devin Booker does well. I thought he did the best that he could, but they need a guy that sets him up you need him in attack mode 100% of the time. You don't need him being passive and deferring to somebody else. let a point guard do that, not Devin Booker. That was a mistake on Phoenix's part. The ownership got involved with all of that. Like James Jones is general manager there. He didn't make those decisions. That was the owner who got involved, decided that they needed Durant to break up the team, get rid of the coach, get rid of Ayton, which getting rid of Ayton was an absolute you talk about a bad trade. Ayton and Monty Williams didn't get along. And I know we talked about this, but it's worth mentioning. They didn't get along. And they didn't. And next thing you know is they trade him. Ayton plays good in Portland. You fire Monty Williams. Well, get rid of one of them, not both. Both of them weren't the problem. They just didn't get along. Okay, well, if you get rid of one, then you keep the other one. You don't get rid of both. How stupid can you be? Well, they did, and they paid the price for it. They paid the price for it, man. So that's just my personal opinion on all. And then Golden State wasn't good enough. Klay Thompson's a shell of himself. Andrew Wiggins, whatever his personal problems were from last year, carried over into this year. He's not the same basketball player. Maybe he never will be again. I don't know what those personal problems are, but Andrew Wiggins is not the same guy that he was when they won the title in 2022. He is not that guy anymore. He just isn't. I don't want to speculate. I think everybody knows kind of the speculation that's out there. So I don't want to speculate on what the issue is. But whatever it is, whatever he's going through, he's not the same basketball player that he was in 2022. Klay Thompson can't do it anymore for you. That's not, I mean, he's going to have flashes because every shooter as good as Klay Thompson used to be is going to be able to have flashes. But Klay Thompson needs to be a guy that's giving you 18 to 25 minutes a night. That's it. He can't defend anymore like he used to. Part of that is age. Part of that is injury. But he's not able to do those things anymore. So that's just kind of where it is. That's where it is. So, yes, Miller Time. Somebody said that Kevin Durant was washed last week. And it's just stupidity. It's just stupidity. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It is what it is, man. It is what it is. But no, in my opinion, I don't think there's a changing of the guard at all. I just don't think those teams are as good. Because if you put Durant, Steph, and LeBron on, I don't know, not the Lakers, but Minnesota, OKC, or Denver, are they not any good? Are those teams not any good? Of course they are. Are they washed? You put LeBron on Denver and you get rid of and you replace him, Michael Porter Jr., with LeBron. You don't think they're still good? Of course they are. You put KD in Denver for Michael Porter Jr. You don't think they're still good? Of course they are. Of course they are. Probably better because KD he's better than Michael Porter Jr. So is LeBron. Now, LeBron doesn't do the things that Michael Porter Jr. does as far as standing out there and knocking down threes, but Kevin Durant sure does that. So that's my opinion on the changing of the guard. Those guys are still really good. And here's the thing. We haven't seen it. Like usually when it's the changing of the guard, it's the guys aren't any good anymore. Like they go from averaging 27 a game to 15 points a game, that their skills have diminished, like a Klay Thompson. But that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing these guys be able to play at a high level at an advanced age. I mean, how many 30, 39, 36, 35-year-old, how many guys do we see at that age that are still playing this well? How many times have we seen that over the years? We haven't. We haven't seen it. So that's just my little tidbit. I think it's weird, but it is what it is. It is what it is, man. We'll see. Let's move on. As a reminder, though, before we do, again, Big B Daily, 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time. Remember to keep showing up. As I mentioned before, and I'll keep mentioning this, there's a platform. We're on several different platforms. Come check us out. But one of them in particular keeps buffering, keeps freezing me up. Do yourself a favor. Click the link in the bio. There's a live link if you're coming from that platform. There's a live link. Come on over. Several people have come over today. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't to the new platform. I appreciate everybody coming over, man. I really do. I appreciate everybody coming over. Oh, also, as I mentioned, Steelers Almighty, a new page that we have out on YouTube. And basically, it's on all platforms. Steelers Almighty. It's on all platforms. Make sure you go follow, like, and subscribe to Steelers Almighty, even if you're not a Steelers fan. I get it. You hate the Steelers. Follow and subscribe. You love the Steelers. Follow and subscribe. If you like good content, follow and subscribe. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's on all platforms everywhere. Steelers Almighty. Come check us out. Again, if you like good football content, even if you like the Steelers or you hate the Steelers, it'll be something that you want to subscribe to. So I appreciate everybody doing that. So, yeah, Miller Tom, it's been doing that for weeks, man. I just do yourself a favor, man. Just go in my bio and just click on the live link, man. You can come over. You don't even have to change your phone or anything. Just click on it. So, my man Ty says, the Steelers are all right. I don't mind them, but I don't like the Patriots. There you go. There you go. But let's move on, man. So, the last topic of the day, Shedeur Sanders. Let me just say this. I have been, as you guys know, as you guys have joined and you've watched, you guys know that I am a firm believer in Coach Prime. I want Coach Prime to succeed. I question some of his methods sometimes. I'm not sure that living in the transfer portal without bringing in high school kids is sustainable. You know, other schools that are bringing in lots of transfer portal players also happen to be bringing in 19 to 20 new college freshmen every year. So there's a difference. Colorado brought in 6. So they're trying to do it different. I don't know if it's going to be sustainable. Probably not. Especially if you don't win and you don't prove that you can develop anybody. But we'll see. But I hope that he succeeds. I've said it. I'm going to continue to say it. However, Shedeur Sanders, I'm done with Shedeur Sanders. I'm officially done. When did it become okay for kids to bash other kids as they leave? Now, just a little backstory. So there's a kid, and I'm not even going to go into names. The kid transferred. Well, I think his name is Miller. His last name is Miller. Kid transfers, and I'll look it up here. Colorado kid transferred to UTEP. And basically what happened was, and I apologize, is basically what happened is he's at Colorado. He goes and transfers. Or, yeah, I don't even know if it was, yeah, he transfers, but he leaves and he kicks Colorado out the door. He basically says Dion didn't try to get to know him. He says that that he was so upset that he had tears coming down his face because Dion told him he needed to get into the transfer portal. Now, we can look at that one of two ways, but I look at it as this. Dion saying, look, you're not good enough to play here. You know, it's not that I don't like you, but you're not good enough to play here. You need to get in the transfer portal to go somewhere else. The first time he said that, the kid doesn't do it, and then he's not getting to play. Well, then he finally decides, okay, I got to get out of here because Dion doesn't even want to know me, so it's time to get out of here. The one thing that I will say, your head coach isn't always going to try to get to know you on a first-name basis. They may talk to you and know who you are, but, you know, if you're never going to play there, it's a slippery slope. Let's just say that. It's a slippery slope. So very, very slippery. Having said that, I just don't I don't agree with the bashing of the kid out, or I don't agree with the kid bashing Deion out the door. If you want to leave, just leave. I get it, you're disappointed, but you have no right or bearing, no reason to just say, hey, it didn't work out and leave. Because Deion didn't say, hey, this kid wasn't good enough. He didn't come out publicly and say, hey, he wasn't good enough to play at Colorado, so he had to transfer. Because that's what happened. He wasn't good enough to play there, and he had to leave. He told him, he advised him to leave. But when is it okay for another kid to come in and say, yeah, I don't even remember his name. He must have been very mid at best. What are we doing? Why is that okay? I mean, I just don't understand that. You don't have to kick the kid out the door. And I know what people are saying. Well, he's just telling the truth. Okay. So he's telling the truth. What difference does that make? Somebody that's not as good as you, that can't play at your level, you're just going to bash them as they're leaving? Well, he talked about his father. He didn't say anything bad about his father. He just said he didn't give him a chance to know him. He didn't want to get to know him. And he was so upset that he cried about it. And so you take it upon yourself to say, I didn't even know his name. Well, so what? Everybody can't be the best player on every team. That's how it works. Everybody isn't the best player. So that means you have to bash them. I'm out on Shedeur Sanders. Look, I don't wish any ill will. I don't wish him to have a bad career. I don't wish any of that. But I'm basically what I'm saying, I'm going to be done defending him. That's what I'm done defending him. I can only defend so much. And I don't defend that kind of behavior. I just don't. There's no reason for him to do or say that about that kid. No reason. I don't care if he talked about your father or not, man. I don't care. And number one, he didn't talk about his father. He didn't do that. So, and that's the thing. You want to be super flashy out there on the field, fine. If that's the way that you feel like you need to get along, be super flashy. We saw Deion be super flashy, but Deion wasn't talking about anybody but himself. He said he was the best. He said he was the greatest. It was all about his money. Deion never mentioned anybody else's name. I don't remember Deion mentioning anybody else's name ever, other than to say, like, Jerry Rice is the greatest receiver. I can't wait to go up against him. I don't remember Deion saying anything about anybody other than that. All he talked about was himself. Now, you can say that's arrogant. Okay. I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with people being arrogant. I really don't. As long as you're not bashing other people for no reason, I don't have a problem with people being arrogant. Do you? Whatever. If that's what makes you play good, then that's what makes you play good. I'm okay with that. But don't bash other kids. When you're a player, bashing another player that's transferring because he's not as good. He didn't do that to Dylan Edwards. You didn't see Shedeur do that, did he? You didn't see Shedeur say anything about Cormani McClain. You didn't see him say anything about him. Why not? And Cormani McClain, he bashed the entire program, including your father. But because he has a relationship with them, he didn't say anything bad about him. But you're going to turn around and bash this kid. I just lost respect. That had lost respect. Again, I want him to do well. I don't want Shedeur to have a bad career. I want him to play well. I want him to be healthy. But I just, to me, that's classless. And again, that's not what his father did. That is not. There's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to try to convince you to say, well, that's what his dad did. That's what Deion did. No, he did not. That is a flat out lie. Deion did not go and bash other players. All Deion did was talk about himself. That's all he did. He talked about himself. and about how good he was, about how much money he should be making. Now, whether you agree with that or not, that's a different conversation. But he didn't go around bashing other people. He just didn't. So, and here's a good comment, my man Pat Cockrell. I think Shedeur forgets that he went 4-8 last year. I said the same thing to the guy who produces the show over on YouTube for me. We were talking, and I said to him, I go, it's like they were 8-4 or won 9 games last year. He forgets that they won 4 games. You want to be arrogant and bash people, at least have a winning record. At least have that. At least have gone to a bowl game. Don't win 4 games and then act like you're the God's gift to football. You know, you don't have to have humility when you win. I don't think you do. I know a lot of people think you need to have humility no matter what. I'm not in that boat. If you're winning, you can be as arrogant as you want. You can rub it in my face, whatever, because it's my job to stop you. But when you won 4 games and you struggled to beat bad football teams, and those are your 4 wins, why are you so arrogant? And you can be flashy and all of this, and you get all of this money. I don't begrudge him for making the money. I really don't. If somebody wants to pay you, then I don't care what it is. Football, tennis, being an accountant, being a school teacher, although teachers don't make much, but whatever it is, if somebody wants to pay you a ton of money for doing what you do, then you take as much of it as you can. I mean, that's capitalism at its finest. Take as much of it as you can. But at the same time, if the product that you're putting out there isn't very good, and there's definitely reasons. I mean, we all know their offensive line was horrendous. He got his brains beat in on a weekly basis. He did. This will be the telltale year on what we should think about Shedeur Sanders moving forward. Because if they can't get it together this year and they can't win more games, we'll see. It's just my personal opinion. It's just my personal opinion. I just don't like this look, bashing another kid because he wasn't as good, regardless of what he said. You don't have to say anything. Even if he said, your mama is ugly. This program sucks. Shedeur's terrible. He could have said all of that. That doesn't mean Shedeur had to say anything because he understood what's going on. This kid's not as good as him. So, no, Ty, I'm not coming out of retirement. I'm too old for that. But if he gets on here and he listens, I'll be more than happy to talk directly to him. Shedeur, you're better than this, man. Stop it. It's not that kid's fault that he's not as good and can't play at that level. Your dad saw it, and he said, son, you need to get into the transfer portal because you're not going to play here. That's about as good as of a thing a coach could do for you. Because if they're not good enough to play, what do you just want them to sit there and be on the bench? No. Deion's job is to put the most competitive team that he can put out on the field and get the best players possible at Colorado. That's literally his job. And if there's a guy that you know is never going to play, hey, man, you're not going to play. You need to get in the transfer portal. He didn't tell him you need to go to Division II. He didn't tell him you need to go to FCS. He didn't tell him any of that. All he said was you need to get in the transfer portal. Now, I give the kid credit. More power to him. He transferred a division down because he probably understood I can't play at the top level. I need to go somewhere a little lower so I can have an opportunity to get on the field. Good for you. Good for you. You know? Good for you, man. So I agree with all of that. But this Shedeur business and him bashing these other kids, I'm out on it. I'm 100% out on it. You know, just go play your game, be arrogant, flash your money, do all of that. Again, some people don't like that. I honestly, I don't mind. And not that I don't mind. I actually like it. You want to flash your money as a young kid, you got to be careful because they did get robbed. I mean, their locker room got robbed. But if you're a young kid and you want to go out and flash your money, more power to you. I mean, if that's what you like to do, then you do that. You do whatever. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, I live by this creed. What you do isn't going to affect me one way or another. So I literally don't care. I don't care. And in some cases, I actually like it. Because here's what I always liken it back to, I apologize. If I was his age, when I was his age, if I had access to that, I'd have done the exact same thing. I would have, if I could have had a watch that was $100,000 watch and buy all the cars or whatever the case, I would have done the same thing. Some people wouldn't have. Some people would have. I would have. I'd have done the same thing. So I don't begrudge people for that, man. I don't begrudge kids for being kids. Again, you got to be careful because somebody's always watching and somebody's always looking to take advantage of you, because either they're jealous or they want it or there's just bad people in this world, unfortunately. So you always got to be careful. But at the same time, do you. But the bashing of former teammates, I'm 100% out on. The bashing of former teammates, I'm never going to like that. Let's go to some comments here. How many games do you think Colorado will win this year, says my man Ty. Ty, for me, it's not about how many games I think they will win. Or let me put it this way. To be a successful season, they got to win 7 games. They have to win 7 games. They can't just win. Even going to a bowl game, going 6-6, not successful in my opinion. You have to end your season above 500. And the only way you can ensure that is if you win 7 games. Because you can go to a bowl game at 6-6 and lose the bowl game and have a losing record. So I think the only way for Colorado to consider this a successful season, you got to win 7 football games. Now, you look at their schedule, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. And while the Big 12, the Pac-12 was better than the Big 12 last year, the Big 12 is a good conference. And I know Deion supposedly said, well, if this is the best they have to offer, that's not very good. Well, you're going to find out. They play a different brand of football in the Big 12. A lot of these teams play physical football. And you're going to find out. For instance, Utah would be the best. They would be the team that came from the Pac-12 that would give you the best idea on how they play football in the Big 12. Utah. Physical. Get after you on the offensive and defensive line. Now, Colorado didn't play them last year, I don't think. I don't pay close enough attention. But either way, you're going to find out. But I think that's a good question, Ty. I think they got to win 7 games. A minimum of 7. Do I think they will? Let's get into the summertime and get past all the portal guys and see who still leaves, who they still get. But if their offensive line is better and their defensive line is better, I don't think 7 wins is out of the question. So I feel like the Big 12 played better defense than the Pac-12 did. Absolutely it did. 100% it did. And it's going to continue to play better. It's going to continue to play better defense. It just is. They value defense. So, my man Perryland, what's going on, man? Or Pierre Land. I keep messing it up. I apologize, brother. Yeah, if you want to be flashy, just be prepared because there's people out there in the world that want it bad enough to take it from you. That's exactly right, man. You got to be careful. Nothing wrong with being flashy. Just be careful. Just be careful. So, just be careful. And start bringing your questions, people. This is the Q&A section. So, throw a bunch of questions up there because that's where we're going with this for the rest of the show. That's where we're going with this. Any question that you got, no matter what it is, Doesn't have to be on the topics that we talked about. It can be anything. Just throw your questions up, and I'm going to start firing them off. Throw your questions or statements, and we'll start firing off. My man, Rob Johnson. What's going on, Rob? Hey, Rob, just as a quick reminder or as a quick statement, I didn't like Washington's draft because I don't think they addressed offensive line enough. But for who they took, your Commanders did well, brother. I'll tell you that right now, Rob. I know I've been hard on you. I know I've been hard on the Commanders, but I'm telling you right now, I didn't like the draft. I didn't like it because I don't think they addressed the offensive line enough. But for the people that they actually drafted, the Commanders did well, brother. It's not going – it may be turning around. That's all I'll say. It may be turning around for you quicker. So, but anyway, to address your actual question, I apologize. What's your college football championship favorites this coming year? Good question. Georgia obviously going to be there. Let's just get this out of the way. Georgia and Alabama. And we'll see what Alabama does with a new head coach. So we got Georgia, Alabama. Tennessee's going to stay. They took a step back last year. They're going to be average again, just like they were last year. Nobody else out of the East does anything for me in the SEC. I think Ole Miss will be okay. Actually, Ole Miss they'll be okay. Not great. But they'll probably put Ole Miss in because they'll be the next best team. But Missouri, I think, might actually be better than Ole Miss. So look out for Missouri. They lost a lot on defense. They did lose a lot on defense, but their offense is going to be really good. So we'll see. Big Ten, the two teams, we'll see about Michigan, who they replace McCarthy with at quarterback, but they still run the football like crazy. So Michigan, Ohio State, if Ohio State doesn't win the national championship this year, they're never going to win it. And I think they'll fire Ryan Day. With the talent that they have coming in from the transfer portal that's already in the program, as good as that, they have the most talent, even more than Georgia. When you talk about just talent, the top 22 on both sides of the ball, Ohio State has the most. If they can't win the title this year, when are they going to win it? You know what I'm saying? Lord have mercy. At some point, you got to win. At some point, you got to win it. So if they can't win it this year, I don't know when they're going to. Penn State, my man Donnie Maskey, I love him to death. He's a diehard Penn State fan, but I'm not sure about Penn State, man. I'm just not sure about Penn State. I'm not sold on James Franklin. I think he can recruit, but once the kids get there, it's like, okay, now what? You recruit this big-time college, quarterback, and then you don't let him throw the ball down the field. It's like, what are you doing? Your offense was terrible. We'll see this year. We'll see. I don't think anybody else in I take that back. The Big Ten added teams. I forgot. Washington's going to take a huge step back. I think Oregon will be good. They have an opportunity. So we'll see. USC, nope. UCLA, absolutely not. So we'll see. But that's the only thing. Big 12, Kansas State and Utah, I think, are the two teams out of the Big 12 that have an opportunity to go. I know people are talking about Arizona. I don't think Arizona is going to be as good. But those are the two teams that I think have an opportunity to go to the college football playoff. In the ACC, I think Clemson might be a little better than what people think they are. I think Clemson's going to end up being there in the end. Florida State, I think they might be there in the end if they can replace some key guys. They got a lot coming back, though, and they got a lot in the transfer portal. So I think Florida State actually might be there. They're not going to go undefeated again. I can tell you that. That's not going to happen. But I think Florida State might end up being there in the end. A lot of people, but Ohio State and Georgia, if I had to pick today, that's who I would predict to be in the college football playoff championship game. Even though they're going to 12 teams, that's who I think. So My man, Uncle Matt, can FSU match in their level of play? I think you meant to say match in their level of play from last year going into this coming year. I don't know. I don't know if the quarterback is going to be as good. Ukulele, I think that's how you pronounce his name, DJ, he's not as good as Jordan Travis. And they lost some edge guys. They lost some defensive guys. Now, I know they got some defensive guys coming back. I just don't know if Florida State's going to go undefeated. I think they'll win the ACC, though. And that will get them into the college football playoff, we think. That should get them into the college football playoff. But I don't think they'll be as good as last year. My man, Mo, Big B, who would be your number one NFL team after the draft? I mean, here's the thing. I like drafts, but until we see those guys actually play a down, it is what it is. It's just projection. And since it's just projection, I'm still saying the Chiefs are the best team. I still say the Chiefs are the best team. Now, I know other teams got better, but the Chiefs got better, So I look at it from that point of view. I know that's, oh, man, that's not any fun, B. And it isn't, I admit. But for me, that's what I look at it. I look at the Chiefs were still the best. The Chiefs got better. Everybody else got better, but I still say that until that somebody can beat the Chiefs, you're going to have to prove to me that they're better. And there was every reason for teams to be able to beat the Chiefs last year. Hell, they beat them in the regular season. But when the playoffs came, Baltimore, horrible game plan, couldn't beat them. Buffalo, choked, had big plays where they had opportunities to win. Receivers dropping passes. Josh Allen missing throws. Kicker missing a kick. Couldn't beat the Chiefs. Both of those games, the Chiefs had to go on the road. Oh, they've never been on the road under Patrick Mahomes. They go on the road and they win. San Francisco, best team in the league. Didn't matter. Chiefs beat them again in the Super Bowl. So for me, it's still the Chiefs. But the Pittsburgh Steelers got a whole lot better. I'll just throw that out there. The old Pittsburgh Steelers. But no, if I'm being honest, I mean, it's the same suspects. The Chiefs, the Ravens, San Francisco. I think Green Bay got better. I think Detroit got a hell of a lot better. And these are teams that were good last year. I'm not talking about the teams that weren't as good. I'm just talking about the teams that were good. All those teams got better. Buffalo did not get better. I'm sorry. Buffalo did not get better. They got worse. They got worse. Miami got worse. Regardless of what people are trying to say, Miami got worse. Now, here's a surprise team. The New York Jets. The Jets got better. Aaron Rodgers, I know, well, he's coming off an injury and he's 40. That's true. But if he can get back a little bit of what he had before, the year before, the Jets got something. That defense is still there. And they fixed their offensive line, so we think. I know they replaced them with better players. So we'll see what happens. I actually think the Jets should be the favorite in that division. And, we still got a second round of free agency to go. But when we come out and we do our NFL, teams and predictions, I can tell you this right now. The Jets will be my team to win the AFC East. They will be my team to win the AFC East. Jason Parkinson. He's been a Goon Squad member almost from the beginning. What's going on, man? Morning, BB. NFC North, toughest division in football this year. If not, what division is? No. Now, I will admit the NFC North might be second, but you can't tell me that the AFC North isn't better. You can't tell me that with the Ravens, the Steelers, the Browns, and the Bengals. You can't tell me that. If you just go off quarterbacks alone, that's the best division in football. Then you throw in, okay, look at the offensive lines. Did those places get better? Yes. Do those places have weapons? Yes. Look at their defenses. I mean, the AFC North almost had 4 teams make the playoffs last year. They almost did. Every team finished above 500. That should tell you something. Every team. And the Bengals did that without Joe Burrow half the season. So the AFC North is the toughest division. Doesn't mean the NFC North is a second, because with Detroit and Green Bay, the Bears got better, people. And so did Minnesota. Tough division. A close second. But the AFC North, to me, and that's not just me being a Steelers homer, because I'm not a division guy. Like, oh, man, the Steelers didn't win it, so I want somebody from the AFC North to win the Super Bowl. The hell I do. No, I don't. I don't give a damn about the rest of that division. I can tell you that right now. Nobody. I am not a division guy. I don't care. It's like, well, don't you want to see somebody? No, I don't. If my team doesn't win the Super Bowl, I literally don't care who wins it. I don't care. I'm the same way with NFL football, college basketball. I'm the same way. If my team doesn't win, I don't care who wins. Matter of fact, I would prefer that somebody from my conference doesn't win. Somebody from my division, I would prefer if you don't win it. Because if you do, then I got to hear your mouth. And I don't want to hear your mouth. So I would prefer if you don't. That's just my thinking, though. That's my thinking. Love the question, Jason. So, yeah, man. That Maxey logo 3 was really ballsy. You think the Knicks can finish it off next game? Or are we looking at 7-game series? I think we're looking at a 7-game series. I mentioned that earlier. I think it's a 7-game series. I think Philadelphia just takes the momentum. Embiid, look, they won last night. Embiid had a bad game. He did. I don't think that happens in Philly, even though Embiid is 40%. Embiid's going to eat in game 6. And I think Philly wins this game. It'll be close, but I think Philly wins the game. And it's game 7, and who the hell knows what happens in a game 7. But I think Philadelphia wins. Number one, I think Philly fans are embarrassed on what happened in games 3 and 4. And I think Philly fans are going to end up showing up for this playoff game. That's what I think. I think Philly fans are embarrassed at it being a 65-35 Knicks crowd in Philadelphia in games 3 and 4. I think Philly fans get back. They see some life. I think they show up. I think the 76ers show out. And that's my thinking. So, my man George Richardson. What's going on, George? Clemson. I'm assuming, what do you think about Clemson? Yeah, I think Clemson's going to be better than what people think. They haven't. The thing that Clemson's got to get back, they got to get back to having a big-time receiver. That's what's been missing. You know, all those years when Clemson really started their run, they had receivers coming out their ears. Well, last year, it was like 6. They didn't even have a 700-yard receiver last year. So they got to get back to having a receiver. Now, you could say, well, you got to get better quarterback play, which I agree with. They do. But I think they got to get back to having a big-time receiver and get the passing game going better. You know, maybe that'll help the quarterback a little bit. But Clemson's got to get back to that. If they do, I think Clemson can be a player in the ACC. But if it's going to be the same like it's been the last couple of years, they're not going to challenge. They're going to lose too many games that they should win. And that's what's happened the last few years. And Dabo, get in the transfer portal. Just jump in. Don't stick a toe in, jump in. Everybody else is. If everybody else can jump in the transfer portal, so can you. Otherwise, you're just going to get left behind. Your way of doing it is not going to win when everybody else is doing it a different way. You're not going to win that. He's got to stop. He's got to just jump head first into the transfer portal. So, let's see. What else? My man Ty says, I'm glad we added 12 teams. instead of 4 because too many good teams are left out. Absolutely. I thought it was always dumb. If you're going to a playoff, why would you just put it at 4? That was so stupid to begin with. I could at least see if you started at 8. Okay, that makes a little sense. But 4? It didn't even give you room to have every team from the Power 5 conferences make it. It didn't even leave you room. It was like, okay, the SEC and the Big Ten just basically wanted to disrespect conferences. And then you saw it happen last year. Conference champion from the ACC, undefeated. Nope. Not letting them in. Not letting them in. It's about as disrespectful as it got. Now, again, it's a business, and money-wise, and I said this at the time, yes, money-wise, it made way more sense to have Alabama and Texas in over Florida State. Absolutely it did. Alabama and Florida State have way more fans. More people pay attention. So, yes. But what happened on the actual field, which I thought carried more weight than anything, should have been Florida State in. But it is what it is. But, yeah, having 12 teams, Ty, Lord have mercy. Makes way more sense. Way more sense. What else we got? SDSU fan, we're glad at basketball and football, not so much. Look, I get it. Basketball's got it going. Y'all got a good coach there at San Diego State in basketball. But football, give it a minute. Give it a minute, especially because there'll be a new Pac-12. I don't think it's going to be a Power 5, but there'll be a new Pac-12. They get into that. They'll be fine. San Diego State they got a new football stadium, which is good. I believe it's on campus. You got a new stadium. Just give it a minute. You got a new head coach. I think San Diego State is kind of one of those I thought they were actually going to get into the Big 12, but they didn't. The Big 12 didn't go that far. If the Big 12 goes west again, I think San Diego State is there, and I think that's who they should take. And it would make sense if that's the route that they choose to go, if they go west again. But yeah, San Diego State, I think, is kind of just lying in the weeds. I think their football program is there ready to jump. I think it's there ready to jump. So how do you think about Lenore Sellers for South Carolina? I'll be honest, I don't know enough about Lenore Sellers. I do know that South Carolina is going to be a better football team this year. The problem with South Carolina, I don't like the coach. I don't like Beamer. I don't. And y'all can say I'm wrong. I just don't like Beamer. I think South Carolina job, to be honest with you, I think it's too big for him. I think the job is too big for him. And I know what you're saying. Hey, what are you talking about, B? Being in the SEC is a different breed than being in another conference. And even though South Carolina is not at the top of the heap as far as the SEC is concerned, I just think the job is too big for him. I'm not a Beamer fan. I'm just not. So, who do you think comes out of the East in the NBA? Boston. I think whoever comes out of the West is going to beat Boston. That's my feeling. Boston is going to come out of the East because they're better than Philly because Embiid isn't healthy. They're better than the Knicks. Indianapolis Indiana is going to end up winning that series. Although they lost last night, they're going to end up beating Milwaukee, and because Milwaukee's not going to get Giannis and Lillard back, so they're not going to play. Now, the one thing I can say is Porzingis is probably going to miss the next series. That's what I'll say. Porzingis is more than likely going to miss the next series. Is that going to matter going up against either Orlando or Cleveland? I don't know. So we'll see. But I would guess that Porzingis misses the next series because he's definitely not going to play the next game, but Boston's going to beat Miami and end the series. But I think Porzingis is out. Will it matter against Cleveland or Orlando? I don't know. Probably not, but I don't know. I don't know. So that's interesting. But I think Boston's going to end up coming out. But I think the winner is coming out of the West. The NBA champion is going to come out of the West. Whoever it is. Whoever it is. So let's see. What else do we got here? Of the NFL, great during the regular season, but a choker in the playoffs. Who are we talking about? Mo Talk Sports? Who are we talking about? Great during the regular season, but a choker in the playoffs. Buffalo's done that. Baltimore's done that. You know, I love Lamar Jackson, and I know that's weird being a diehard Steeler fan, but he went to Louisville. But, yeah, man, I mean, you got to be honest is honest. Lamar Jackson has choked in the playoffs several times, not just once. It was once you could say, okay. It hasn't been. It's been several times. You got to stop doing that. At some point, you got to be the reason that your team wins and stop being the reason that your team loses. And regardless of what we want to say, it was a bad game playing against the Chiefs. They should have run the ball a hell of a lot more. Lamar needed to be better. Period. End of story. So, I think the Jets, Dolphins, Bills will be battling for the division. I do too. And I think it's actually going to be in that order, Ty. Jets, Dolphins, and Bills. I think that's how it's going to finish. This year. I'm not sure how good the Bills are going to be. We'll see. I think losing Diggs is going to be a hell of a lot worse than what the Bills anticipate. But if Josh Allen is the quarterback that a lot of people think that he is, then it's time. You're paying him all this money. It's time for him to make a receiver better. It's time to be good regardless of who the receivers are. They still got to catch the football. Don't get me wrong. And they still got to get open. But if Josh Allen is the guy who everybody thinks that he is, you shouldn't have to have a top 5 receiver to be good. So we'll see. My man Wakan, Big B, do you think the Steelers will give a contract to Cam Sutton, or will he sign somewhere else? Here's the thing. They're in talks with Cam Sutton. Now, you can feel however you want to feel about Cam Sutton and his off-the-field issues. The one thing that I know, now this doesn't make it any better because it's been really quiet on that front, and I haven't dug in to the details, but it went from a felony to a misdemeanor. But I don't know. Off the field, I just have a problem with strangulation and then running from the cops. I got a problem with that. So I'll have to dig in deeper. And I'll be honest, the reason I haven't is because he's not on my team. You know, if he gets on my team, then I will dive in a little bit deeper into what Cam Sutton did. But he's not on my team, so I don't look into it. Having said that, and to answer your question, if the Steelers are serious about signing him, I think they will sign him. If the Steelers offer him a contract, I think he takes it. So I think you'll find out how serious, because I think the Steelers are going to hold weight over every other team unless, obviously, if they get outbid. But I don't think you're going to get outbid because of his personal situation. So if the Steelers are honest, number one, I think they would have done their research. But number two, if they offer him a contract, I think he takes it. But we'll see. I know he could help us at slot corner. I do know that. And I would take him over Steven Nelson that they keep talking about bringing back. You know, I would take Cam Sutton over him. But we'll see. We will see. I saw some Broncos fans say yesterday that Bo Nix will be better than Mahomes. And I just laughed. You know, Ty, that's the best thing to do, my man. Just laugh.
Airports.
Just laugh.
Places where dreams
Don't
of
take it
tropical
serious.
vacations get crushed by delays and
Don't take it
overpriced
serious.
snacks. But some
Just
airports
move
are
on.
busier than others.
Just move on. Don't take it serious. Well, what's going on this app, but whatever. Yeah, just don't take it serious. You know how people are. Broncos fans are so mad. They beat the Chiefs. What was it? The first time in 12 games that they had beaten the Chiefs. They beat them last year. They are so mad. that they can't beat the Chiefs. That's all that it is. That's all that it is. They're just upset that they can't win. They are literally just upset on where their franchise is right now, and they drafted this quarterback hoping that they can be good. We'll see. We'll see. Be honest with you, I thought it was a horrendous pick. I didn't even think it was bad. I thought it was horrendous what they did. I thought it was absolutely horrendous. I don't think Bo Nix is that guy. And I could be wrong, and I have no problems with being wrong, but I don't think Bo Nix is that guy. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Rob Johnson, Dabo needs to quit being stubborn and embrace the transfer portal, or he's going to be done. Exactly. It's time to jump in head first, man. It's time to jump in head first. So I don't know what you're thinking. The transfer portal is not going anywhere anytime soon. So everybody else, and I mean everybody else, all the big time programs are in. Either you get in and you win, or you become mediocre. And that's what Clemson is starting to dabble back into, mediocrity. Y'all remember what it was like, Clemson fans, before Dabo got there. If he doesn't change, you're going to be back there. So we'll see what happens, man. We will see what happens. Canelo and Mangula this weekend. You interested? What's your take on boxing nowadays? Good question, Don. First off, let me answer the second question first. Well, let me answer the first one. I'm a little bit interested, other than I think Canelo is ducking. There's no reason Canelo should be having this fight. We all know that. It's for money. So I'm not that interested, and I'm definitely not going to pay for it. Here's my take on boxing. As Americans, we like boxing. We love boxing. I take that back. We love boxing. And I'm only speaking for Americans. And I know there's boxing fans all over the world from every country. I'm just speaking for Americans. We like the lower divisions. We respect the lower divisions, and they can be fun. But until there is an American heavyweight that is competitive and can win a title or is fighting for a title, America's not that interested. And I'm in that same boat. Look, I'm the first person to tell you I'm a casual boxing fan. I 100% am. The things that I know really well, football and basketball. I know a little bit of baseball. I watch MMA. I watch boxing. But I'm casual. I know that's the thing, that you're a casual. Yes, I am. I admit it. I don't know boxing that well. But the reason why is because I'm not that interested, because there's no American heavyweight. And if you think to every fight, and I know that Mayweather has set the record, for the most pay-per-views. But you're telling me that if Anthony Joshua was fighting against Deontay Wilder, and they were both undefeated, Deontay Wilder as an American heavyweight, and they were fighting for the heavyweight championship, that would break every boxing record that there ever was. You know it. I know it. We all know it. It just would. It would break every single record. But because they keep losing, it is what it is. That's my take on boxing. And I know it's hard to get those American heavyweights, because those guys play defensive end now. Back in the 60s, the 50s, 60s, and 70s, those guys were boxing. Well, now those guys that were boxing back in those days, those guys play football, man. They play defensive end, So they're not out there getting their head beaten in. They'd rather try to go beat somebody else's head in. That's my take, man. That's my take on boxing. So my man George Richardson said it's better over here. George, number one, we want to thank you for coming over, man, and we appreciate it. Thank you for coming over. We love it. You're 100% right. It is better over here. So, but we'll keep trying on the other platform. We'll keep trying, but we're not going to kiss their ass. I can assure you of that. We are not going to kiss their ass. So we've done all that we can. We love being on YouTube, and we're going to continue to be here. I just wish more people would come over from that platform over here. But we'll get him. Don't worry, we'll get him. What do you think of Washington drafting Newton with Payne and Allen? I think it's a good pickup because I think Jonathan Allen, I think this is his last year in Washington. He's 29, contract's about up. I think this is going to be his last year in Washington, so I think this is a replacement. Number one, for what they're going to be doing this year, it's going to be a great three-man rotation. But I think Jonathan Allen, this will be his last year, so they drafted him to replace it. I think it's a great draft pick, Rob. Great draft pick. Person that I know personally knows Newton or knows his family and graded some of his film. He wasn't. Here's the thing about Newton. He's got the tools, but he didn't always show it. That's the word that I got from the people that I know that watched his film and watched everything that scouts watched. He has the talent. He's got the tools, but he didn't show it all the time. He didn't show the dominance. Like, I can just go by my personal experience of playing college football at a high level. I mean, Kansas State in 97 and 98, that's about as high as it got. And we played against teams that had just awesome defensive tackles. And you played against teams that didn't. And you knew the difference. You knew it immediately. You knew the difference versus a guy that no matter what you did, you couldn't move them. Their hand placement, their feet, all of that. It was going to be a tussle. And Newton gave you that sometimes, and sometimes he didn't. I think that's why he slid to the second round, other than the draft just being super crazy and deciding that we don't want defensive players. But, yeah, I think it's a good pickup, Rob. I really do. I really do. So, good question, Ben. Who has more receiving yards this year, Keon Coleman or Diggs? I think Diggs is better than Keon Coleman, man. I think Diggs was just done playing in Buffalo. I mean, let's not act like Diggs is some bum. Because people are going around saying that he's not even a top 20 receiver anymore. Come on, man. And here's the thing. If the question is, well, yeah, he's still top 20. Well, if he's still top 20, do we think Keon Coleman is a top 20 receiver? I would say the answer to that is no. So I think Diggs has more yards. Now, he's going into a situation where there's two other guys, so it may be harder, but Diggs is a better player. He's definitely a better player, and he should have more yards. So, but we'll see. We'll see. Last one of the day, and then we're going to shut this one down. I think Jake Paul and Mike Tyson is kind of ridiculous. Ty, you couldn't have taken the words out of my mouth, man. I think it's one of the most ridiculous things that I've ever seen in my life. Why somebody would sanction this to be an actual fight is beyond me. Mike Tyson is 62 years old. Think about that for a second. Mike Tyson, I take that back. He's 57 years old. 57 years old. Why in the hell are we allowing a 57-year-old to get into a boxing ring? I mean, why are you sanctioning that? Why is that legal? I just don't understand. I literally don't understand. Guys that are in their prime, 25, 26, if they get knocked out, you make them wait 6 months to get back into the ring before you will allow them to fight again. Those are guys that are 26 years old, and they may have only been knocked out for 20 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, 6 months before you can get back into a ring. Yet here's a 57-year-old that you're allowing to get out there. Come on, man. My first question is, who the hell got paid off to allow Mike Tyson to have a sanctioned fight? Because you know somebody got their pocket greased. You know it. Otherwise, it could never be a sanctioned fight. But this is going to be an actual sanctioned fight. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's an absolute joke. And because Jake Paul takes boxing serious. I'm not saying that Mike Tyson doesn't, but he's 57. He's 57 years old. I'm 48. I can't even get into a three-point stance like I used to in college, much less fire off and block somebody. You're telling me at 57, Mike Tyson should be able to take a punch? Get out of here. Get out of here. Look, man, I appreciate everybody being in here today, man. We're going to shut this one down. As I mentioned, thank everybody that came over from that other platform. This is where you can find us Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time. Remember to come back, show up, show out. We went longer today than what we normally do, but I'll be honest with you, the more people that are in here, the longer we're going to go. So I appreciate you guys being in here, man. Thank you guys. Again, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time, Big B Daily. The Goon Squad, y'all are showing up, baby. The Goon Squad is here. You are out. You are rowdy. I appreciate it. We will be back tomorrow. Remember, if you're not subscribed over here, remember to subscribe and always click on the link for ways that you can absolutely support the show. We appreciate all that, man. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Aloha.